They go, yeah.
They'll switch to Netflix. There's too many entertainment options. So I was sitting there like the first time it happened, what can I do? And I looked over at my backpacks of the gear that runs on Speedify. You paid for a year of it. You can use it on any computer or device. So I just pulled out my one of several hotspots I have, hooked it up, cranked up Speedify, and it has never been a problem since.
We used the Speedify software at a command line level, so it's not running a whole UI which is starting to drain resources. It's really very, very base level, and the really clever people at the BBC got it all working, and we're now presenting whole programs every single day of the year have been presented using this technology. All our weather reports from our weather presenter are done already.
If I look back at my original lives, they are awful. They're terrible. But we all start somewhere and we all get better. And every time you go live and every time you get on camera, you're gonna get a little bit more comfortable.
You saw part
Really?
of it? Cool.
Nice. All right, we are famous. You want to say hi to everybody? Now you're on the video. So wave. That's the camera right there. Nice. All right. We are going back to look at this guy's house. And it has a lot of white lights.
There he is. Hey, Christian.
Fine.
And that tapping light on the back so you can see when the talent's live.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so these lights
do have RGB mixing, so if you want to do each color, you can mix them independently. Within the app, there are a couple features, and I'll just go show you this.
See power. There we go.
Woo! Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Is just building budget aesthetic gaming PCs, and I have my studio here now, so we've graduated away from the basement of my house and whatnot.
Also, I would say streaming kept me from going completely insane when I was in that hotel room for 2 weeks when I first got to Australia.
So raising awareness is really going to help break that stigma. We definitely have a stigma in our society where it's, not okay for folks to be open about their medical conditions. It's kind of seen as shameful.
All of us have these amazing cameras, Apple, Samsung, Google.
We have customers come in all the time who say, oh, I watched this stream and I came in from out of town and I knew we had to stop here.
We build custom PCs for a lot of content creators, gamers, you name it, businesses, colleges, esports.
And then I do a lot of thought leadership talking and trying to educate the industry on the value of techifying, as I call it, their events, and been doing that for a long time.
The first 2 years of live streaming was actually just myself. I was kind of acting as a community manager.
You know what? I never used to think that people wanted to cared about what I wanted to say, but now I'm like, you know what?
I care, Gina.
You've got to put it out there. You've just got to put it out there, and someone will listen.
I used to actually be solely mobile, so I used to teach people how to edit using KineMaster, which is just a mobile app. Really, really cool app.
I love the process of both. I love the editing process, the scripting process, and things like that of recorded videos, but nothing for me also beats the buzz that you get from pressing the go live button.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm your host, Alex Gizis, and this is Speedify Live, the live stream about live streaming. So, we're here to share what we know about live streaming with you, and even more, to interview other people who know way more than I do. Great live streamers, people from companies that make the equipment, software you use when you're live streaming. And let's, learn more together. So today we're going to talk to Chef Mike from Chef Mike Does Stuff. And we're going to talk to him about how he went from being a corporate chef to, an online superstar. So before we jump in with Chef Mike, though, please mash the buttons underneath. Give us a like or a follow or a subscribe, depending on where you're watching. We don't charge for anything. We also want to hear in the comments who else you'd like to see on the show. Just type it in there. We'll see it. We'll contact them. Seems like we're always looking for more people. So our special guest today is Chef Mike Haracz. He is a chef from Illinois who has been a pro for over 16 years. Currently, he's the corporate chef for Univar Solutions. When he isn't cooking, he does a lot on social media. And we'll get into this. He has lots of fantastic videos on YouTube that I love to watch. Mostly he's doing content just for himself as Chef Mike. So Chef Mike Does Stuff. He promotes brands. He has sponsors, and we'll get into all that stuff with him today. Talk about the business end of this. But before I bring Chef Mike on, let's see what his channel is all about. So those of you who aren't fans can become fans real quick before we meet him.
Hello humans, and welcome to Chef Mike Does Stuff. My name is Chef Mike, and I am the Chef Mike referenced in the title in which I created.
Just a little bit of, not olive oil. You could use olive oil, but I'm using avocado oil. One of the reasons is smoke point, really high. If you use something like butter or a low heat oil, you might get a lot more smoke, a little more scorch, and I don't want that.
Today, I am going to give you my recipe on how to make Big Mac sauce at home.
Use mashed potatoes a lot for like cream soups. So potato is a great thickener of stuff. So if you have soups or sauces that you don't want to necessarily add, let's say a roux or some starch or whatever, you don't necessarily have to do that.
Hello, humans!
I was going to say hello, human, to you.
You could totally take the tagline. That's cool. It's for everybody.
All right. So welcome, welcome, welcome. It is great to have you here on Speedify Live. How have you been?
Keeping busy. World events, life, being a parent, working, all of it matched together in a big old ball. So keeping busy.
Nice. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Sure. So my name is Chef Mike Haracz. I've been a professional chef now for 26 something years. I'm an old man. I grew up cooking with my mom, my grandma, wanted to be a chef, got into culinary school, and quickly learned I didn't want to be a chef in a restaurant. Working in restaurants, nights, weekends, holidays, all that stuff. Wanted to have a life. The story goes that I also play guitar and wanted to be in a metal band. So nights, weekends, and holidays, that's show night. I got to be up front melting faces. I cannot be in the back cooking. So I kind of fell into this R&D chef world. So I graduated from Johnson Wales in Providence, Rhode Island. And since 2006, I've been an R&D chef. So I help develop things for top 200 chain restaurants, supermarkets, schools, hospitals, like food production and stuff like that. Some
That's really
notable.
cool. That sounds much less stressful than what I see on shows like The Bear.
Oh, I spent many time work. The Bear is such a good show. I binge watched it with my wife, and it gives you, if you are a small business owner, especially in a restaurant, and bad things happen, it's 100% on you. So you have to deal with it. So the stress level, building a team, that's kind of the difference between a cook and a chef. A cook can go in a kitchen and make anything. A chef needs to be able to run the business, build the team, work with strengths and weaknesses. Like a leadership role is really what makes you a chef there. But I also worked at a couple different companies. I was the manager of culinary innovation for the U.S. menu at McDonald's. So if you didn't get your Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce, I'm sorry, it was my fault that came back and blew up the internet. And then left McDonald's. You might see me in some Wendy's commercials and Wendy's ads as a former McDonald's chef. So did some of that. And then the global pandemic hits, and I have to start doing consulting and content creation, which brings me, 4 months ago, I started a new full-time role at this company called Univar Solutions, which y'all have probably never heard of, but they're a huge global company that supplies ingredients to food manufacturers, restaurants, and stuff like that. And that brings us here today.
All right. So what brought you to social media? Was it really the pandemic, or?
I always knew early on. So when I am of a certain age where my college got the Facebook when I was a junior, and you only could log in with your school email address. So, and I mean, even before that, my MySpace top 16 was awesome. Like I literally had the best top 16 and my page was awesome. But I am also of the certain age that AOL chat rooms, like I was born into this world early on. I also know whether it's fortunately or unfortunately, influence is currency these days. So regardless if you want to or not, if you want to add value to yourself, having an online presence is incredibly important. So I've been following along, trying to keep up to date on all of the new social media platforms and getting associated with a variety of different content and fun stuff. So.
All right, awesome. So reminder to all you in the audience, Chef Mike and I are live.
Yes.
So post comments and, we'll put them up on the screen here and answer them.
And ask me the hardest questions because I've been fully media trained multiple times, so I can pivot to not actually answer the question, hit my talking points, or maybe sell you something. Like it'll be so much fun.
So what kind of, actually, let's take a second, media training.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your media training?
Sure. So the first major, and if you are doing anything online, I highly recommend it. You don't have to listen to the media training, but if you want to be as marketable as possible, it is probably a good idea. So when I was at McDonald's, I became part of the brand ambassador program. So I was able to speak on the company's behalf, doing the radio interviews, press, and all that fun stuff, which was great for when I had to talk about Szechuan sauce while I was at McDonald's. As I'm sure everyone knows, if you remember the how up and down that went. But basic media training is understanding the principles of getting your point across. It's talking and learning in an approachable manner. It's knowing who your audience is and knowing when somebody who may be asking you questions is trying to get you the gotcha moment. I want the one soundbite where the McDonald's representative says the wrong thing and then the media is going to use it and put it everywhere. So it's really good for you to make sure you don't say the wrong thing and get yourself or the brands you are working with in trouble. So highly, highly recommend it.
That's good. So yeah, I had a little bit of media training from, we hired a PR person before we launched Speedify for mobile. So I did a little bit, but what I discovered was the best shortcut was I made a long list of questions we could imagine a reporter asking, including some sort of obnoxious ones.
Yep.
And I gave it to my then 14-year-old daughter. And I said, pretend you're a reporter and go ahead and get mean if you want to. And so
Yeah.
she'd start off asking a bunch of questions. What's your product and stuff? And then she'd reach a point. This is the perfect job for the teenage daughter. Flip the pages aside and be like, do you really think anyone would pay for this? Right? Like, she's
Why
so
did
good
you
at being
steal this idea
obnoxious
from
reporter.
somebody else? I did not steal this idea. Well, here's new info, but I've never seen this info before in my life. I don't know what to.
And
Especially
she
working for-
was so good at that, at hardening me.
That's pretty funny, especially when
She
you
was
work
much
for a
worse than
brand-
any actual reporter ever was.
Yeah. When you work for a big old brand like a McDonald's, like an Apple, like an Amazon, or you are starting your own company, there may be people who, there's plenty of genuine people in the world, but there may be people who actually are out to get you, are trying to do whatever, trying to get sound bites, like I said. So getting that media training, understanding basically how to respond to questions you don't want to get asked or don't want to answer or is inappropriate for you to answer. I think that media training also, for me, when somebody has influence and know they have influence, like social media and all that, and everybody wants you to give them your opinion on a topic, but you also know there are so many subjects I should not be giving my opinion on. I have no political science degree. I'm not personally very religious. There are current events that I am not knowledgeable enough to appropriately be speaking of. Now, that doesn't mean in my personal
Until
life.
you become a billionaire, and then you get to be an expert on everything.
Of course, then you just know. You just throw money at it, and that'll solve the problem. But
So
I
Quiet
know that there are
Galaxy-
so many things I should not be talking about. So that training actually helps you, hey, shut your mouth, because your opinion, you can have it and you could do things in the real world, but do not influence others on your just pure opinion. So
yeah. So Quiet Galaxy is asking, do you think media training should become some type of mandatory training? Everyone uses media and everyone ends up in media.
I would highly recommend. I do think it should be, very important, especially these days. I don't see why not. It shouldn't be taught like as regular curriculum in school. Maybe you got to get rid of writing cursive in school and go do media training instead and see which is more valuable in the long run. We could debate that all day, but if you start a job, if you're a UPS driver and you're out in the public and people see you with that uniform on and you do whatever and people notice, media training would have told you maybe you shouldn't do that wearing company logo, because now it's a big old mess. So
yeah. All right. So nice to hear that someone says that about opinions. Oh my God.
Oh, I love it when a doctor in some other field, although they are probably a lot more knowledgeable than me, but let the doctors in the field be the ones to talk to the public about that subject, because they probably know more than you. Or political stuff. Go out and vote. That is the extent I will talk about politics. And please, if you don't like the way things are going, go out and vote. But any more than that about talking about candidates, I am regurgitating what I see on the news, what I see in social media, and I don't know if any of that is true or real. So I should not be influencing my audience on those kinds of topics.
All right. So offline cooking. Yeah, I guess you talked a little bit about what kind of jobs you did, but so how hard is it to like establish your reputation, like to go from someone who graduated culinary school to really being, a chef?
I am, as far as building an online presence in it, I am very fortunate, and it's obvious I leveraged my time at McDonald's, and I still do to this day, of being a corporate chef for McDonald's, leverage that for the views. It is a true story. I did work for them for 4 years, but I have that advantage over, There's probably been 30 chef type people in McDonald's history on the US menu going back. There's still like 3 or 4 chefs there now. None of them, I don't believe, really use social media in any capacity. So there is one person on the planet who is a former McDonald's chef who then promoted Wendy's products in the world, and that is me. So leveraging that versus.
So did you make any enemies or just
yeah.
it's just, or is it just business? Nobody cares.
I had a mentor from McDonald's who left, and then I left, and I reached out to them to say, hey, another brand approached me to do some stuff. He said, make sure you call McDonald's and you don't have any binding contractual agreements with them that prohibit you from doing this. So I did all the steps, and I had nothing that was inhibiting me from doing Wendy's related content. But I can tell you right now, internally, McDonald's has changed all their documents, and if you leave, this is what you can say. I guarantee that they have changed a lot of things in the paperwork to alleviate this kind of issue in the future.
I know of actors who have been had big roles in Verizon commercials who were paid for years afterwards to not be in any more commercials, right? Mm-hmm. they paid them less than they paid them to be in commercials, but they kept them on a salary to not be in any other commercials.
Yep. Hey, show me the money. You want me to pay me a bunch of money to not talk or not do anything? Perfect. Yeah. Please provide.
Yeah. My rates for not working are very reasonable.
To talk, we're obviously going to talk a little bit about deals and things, and especially in my role with working with Wendy's and things like that, exclusive deals means you should charge a lot more, because if you don't get to work with other brands that you may have potential to work with, that is a lot less money you could potentially make. Meaning you should charge those people more money for doing exclusive stuff.
Yeah. So Dungeons and Druids asks, do you recommend eating McDonald's every day?
I recommend understanding your own nutritional requirements and aligning up your macro and micronutrient needs with your diet. So that is completely up to you if you want to eat McDonald's every day or not. Was that good? That's called media.
That was great. That was media.
And I have a culinary nutrition degree. Okay, so corporate chef at McDonald's with a nutrition degree. But good try, Dungeons and Druids, with getting me to answer the question. Very good.
So when did you really start the online filming your cooking?
So after I left McDonald's, I had another behind the scenes gig. The Wendy's stuff started happening where I was in their breakfast lunch, like a social media campaign, and then a big commercial. They re-edited the footage and a commercial came out. COVID hits. Okay, so that's March of 2020. So I'm ready I had an opportunity. I was going to fly out to visit the 100 Thieves compound and make some content. I was actually going to fly out and do stuff with G Fuel and all this stuff. And then COVID hits and I lose those opportunities. I get separated from my full-time gig and a pandemic hits all at the same time. And so I, out of necessity, needed to do something to provide for my family, finding a new job in my industry, unless I wanted to work in a restaurant, which during the days of a global pandemic, people were leaving restaurants. Nobody was going there. So I had to turn into a content creator and try to work with brands real quick and hustle out of necessity. It was not fun and glamorous in the beginning. I did okay. Once I got my consulting kind of up and running, I had some steady funds, but it was out of necessity, and that is not necessarily a fun role to be in. But luckily, again, I leveraged McDonald's life. I leveraged the Wendy's stuff that just started appearing. So I got a big social bump, and a lot of other brands saw how active I was and my personal brand growing. So I got a lot of opportunities from that.
Nice. So I watch you on YouTube, but I mean, what platforms are you on?
I'm on all the platforms. Haven't been hitting YouTube as much thus far. I have recently transitioned to the TikTok just because it's easy to grow your brand. And for me specifically, I like things that I can put in as little effort as possible to get the most gain. And as much as I think YouTube, a highly edited, polished product is one thing. With TikTok, I can be my authentic self, film myself, do stupid things, get it into a loop really quick, all on my iPhone, and boom, 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 numbers start happening. So I also know in the industry, a lot of brands are looking at TikTok for people, for celebrities, for influencers. And I've been using not only my YouTube, even early on, but TikTok. My goal right now is just to build an audience. It is none of the stuff I've done is to make a lot of money, because I'm not a Mr. Beast. I am not Nade Shots or Valkyrie. Yet. I am not the hands guy. I am literally, I know that I am small time. So what I do now is really just to build my brand and show brands that may come upon my page just how I am, how I talk, my ability to turn a camera on and just be somewhat entertaining. At least I think I'm entertaining, and could just show up and be engaging. So really, that's all I'm really doing at this point right now.
Nice. So any tips and tricks on how to grow an audience?
Sure. Engagement is key. It has boggled my mind that, like, when I was working for McDonald's and would respond to somebody, wow, a chef from McDonald's responded? That's amazing. I come from being in a band and having to have a street team and go hand out CDs and tapes by hand to an individual to get them to come to a show. So I've always had that mentality in social media of, I'm not just going to post content and expect people to show up. I need to go be active, respond to people, reach out to other content creators, not only in my own genre, but adjacent, and support them. Because if I'm not going out and supporting anybody in any way whatsoever and not responding, that is not engaging at all whatsoever. And you are not building an audience. You're just putting content out. And I think that's where a lot of people, like, I put out these banger videos. What's the deal here? Nobody sees it. Nobody knows your band if you don't promote it. Nobody knows your restaurant exists unless you are getting people to see your stuff, especially this day and age. So, so the key is reach out, respond. Your audience is there for a reason, so be nice and good to them, and hopefully they return the favor.
Nice. So just a reminder, so I'm Alex, and this is Chef Mike. Chef Mike. It's mirrored. I got to point the right direction, and we're live. So if you have any questions for him about cooking, McDonald's, building your audience, you're in the right place. So post them underneath. We will answer them. Mm-hmm. So what does a corporate chef at McDonald's do?
So I'd say probably almost every larger restaurant chain actually has chefs or food scientists or product developers on staff, which is going to blow your mind that they exist. But basically my role there was to come up with the new items for the menu. So not only was that developing a gold standard, which means as a chef, do you want a new sauce, a new burger, whatever it is? I do the chef-inspired one. This is the Cadillac of the new things. That kind of gives a company a target of what are we trying to do. Then specifically for a brand like McDonald's, there are so many other reasons why customers go to McDonald's than it's the greatest food on the planet, which I will never claim that it is. However, the right place, the right time, at the right price, and getting it as fast as possible, that is why McDonald's is world famous. It's not, wouldn't say the greatest food compared to Alinea, one of the best restaurants on the planet, but it is consistent. You know what you're going to get. Your Dollar McChicken tastes like that Dollar McChicken almost everywhere you go. So it's that kind of mentality when I'm developing a thing for a brand or a customer to keep in mind. So I developed a thing like a chef. Now I have to convert it into something that McDonald's can not only make with a 15-year-old who may or may not want to actually be working there. And then a customer who doesn't want to wait, who doesn't want to pay a lot of money. And a majority of the McDonald's consumers are not adventurous in their flavor profiles. They come and get the same thing over and over again. So with those parameters, figuring out how to develop things for those customers.
There's a comfort to you can roll into a McDonald's anywhere in the country, and it's exactly the same.
Right. I mean, you go over.
It's pretty much the same as when you were a kid.
Well, yeah, for the most part. I mean, that's another kind of role and responsibility that the chefs and stuff, there are ingredients over time that consumers don't want in their food anymore. And if we take them out, it very much changes the food item. So how do we keep it as consistent with new ingredients, with cleaner ingredients, if that's what the customers want? Or are customers saying, it's way too expensive, we don't want a salad, just give us more greasy burgers? Okay, then we're going to make more affordable menu items. And if people tell us they don't care that MSG is in food anymore, then we'll put it in. If they don't want MSG in food, we'll take it out. So we're very reactive to actually what consumers want. I'm not just doing what Chef Mike wants. We are reacting to what the higher paying, largest customer base of the restaurant wants. So when everyone tells me I sell out, like, not really, because I'm making it for somebody, not for myself. If I'm cooking for myself, I'm going to go get the fanciest of things. It's be very expensive, take a long time. But I can turn that part of the brain off to develop Walmart macaroni salad if I need to.
All right. We have a question from the audience. What made you want to be a chef?
I just grew up. I was one of those kids that always cooked with mom and grandma. I would peel potatoes, pick green beans. I was the one of the few males in the home ec class in junior high. Doing the cooking stuff, so I can sew very well now as well. And it's just what I always gravitated to. I was one of those things. I always knew I wanted to be a chef of some capacity, and I've been trying to stick with it.
Nice. So were there any surprises? I know people are constantly trying to get McDonald's to bring things back. Any surprises there? Were there any surprising things people want back? Yeah.
It's funny because sometimes please bring hot mustard back. Well, specifically McDonald's being a big franchise organization, it's broken down into regions, and the owner operators vote on if they want things on their menu or not. So the corporate entity of McDonald's cannot necessarily demand that a region brings back hot mustard. It is out there right now. Other areas of the country may have it and you don't. So you actually need to complain to the owner operators and get them during vote time to say, yes, we would like that thing back. The McRib sometimes is not a nationally launched item against the wishes of the corporate McDonald's entity, because these regions vote and they say, no, we don't want the McRib back. We got some other deal. Yeah, we got some other deal we're going to run, so we're not going to do it. That's great.
It seems like McDonald's built such a cult. I don't know if they, did you guys do it on purpose? But the McRib is back, right? It keeps coming back, and it's exciting every time.
Limited time offers, so this is how they work. And we are just about, I bet you we're already in pumpkin spice latte territory right now. And a ridiculous amount, over 90% of all the sales of pumpkin spice anything, cereal, drink, whatever, anything that's got pumpkin spice on it, 90% of it is bought by someone who buys one of those things in the season. Okay, so pumpkin spice is 4.5 months long now. It keeps growing, and more sales to get a person to buy one of those things once. That is a majority of the sales. So everyone who's a super fan,
it's not actually good, but it's not Halloween if you haven't had a pumpkin spice latte.
But you have your one, and then you go back to your normal routine ordered stuff. McRib, everybody tries it once. There are people who are super fans who would say, I would go in every day and I would eat it nonstop. And I know 5 friends that would do the same. There is not enough of you to sustain the sales of making it business appropriate to keep it on the market. There's also fluctuations in cost of pork and ingredients and stuff like that. But again, a majority of all the sales are people buying it one time. So you being a super fan is not moving the needle enough to keep it on the menu long term.
That's really interesting.
Yes, numbers.
So thoughts on the scandal of salads going away in some regions?
Yeah, so apparently when places like McDonald's and your Burger Kings and stuff like that add new healthy menu items, because that's what consumers say they want, then the consumers go, it's Morbin time, and don't actually go buy the things that they have requested, and then it gets pulled off the menu. Kind of like how Morbius was a flop. The internet said, we want more of it. Okay, let's bring it back. And then you did not go see it. So no, again, it is a vicious cycle of they try to give you what the people say they want. Then the people do not buy the things, and then it goes off the menu again. So McDonald's has tried time and time again to provide healthier things, lower calorie items. And when you promote that, even in retail, if your package has healthy call outs, this is a lower calorie, a lower fat, a lower sugar, statistically, it's like 40% less likely anyone is going to pick it up off the shelf because you made a health claim. You are trying to do something better and nice for the people. That's not what a majority of the people want, and they don't buy it, so it goes away.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
We
quite
tried
a
our
stat.
best.
All right.
Makes you sad sometimes, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's very believable, though.
That is factual, statistical information. So
yeah, it's very clear to me, and I won't get into any specifics, that companies can and have gone very wrong listening on Twitter.
Yeah, but the Morbius
to angry people saying what they want. And,
yeah, Candy just said, love the Morbius comparison. That is a literal what happens in a lot of these scenarios of, I mean, there's nutritional lobbyists. There are other influences on why menus are changing. And this is not a McDonald's thing. This is chain restaurants who are public facing and want change and all these things. And there are people influencing that. But when the change happens and nobody supports the change, it reverts back to the original, just cheap, greasy, whatever we could get out the door faster.
That's super interesting. All right, let's shift gears and talk about your actual setup. Like, what kind of camera, what kind of software you use.
Cool.
Yeah, how do you make your videos?
So almost exclusively, I got this huge setup, okay? So I have an iPhone, and I have a $2.99 app, which I edit the videos, and I bought the cheapest tripod I could possibly find.
Nice.
And that is literally my whole setup. When I have leftover mic stands from when I used to play in metal bands, and then I on Craigslist bought a big box of moving blankets to make soundproofing kind of stands to help with sound. I bought an incredibly cheap lav mic with a wire because I was having issues doing a wireless setup through my iPhone. So I run 50 feet of wire from my phone up my chef coat to a little thing right here to talk into. I've even been provided fancier, more expensive ones, but they're like, no, it doesn't work on just an iPhone. Like, that's all I got. That's all I'm doing. The reason for that is, and my whole, why I'm doing it this way is I'm still just building an audience, finding my voice. And for me personally, my biggest asset is turn the camera on and talk in this kind of scenario. I could lead this conversation in 50 different ways off topic pretty easy. That's just what I'm good at. So I don't need to really edit a lot of stuff. I can just do a take or two and I usually get it. That might be very different from some other content creator who may not be as comfortable just spitting out words and going with the flows. There are plenty of folk who need to edit, who need to stage, who need to have a script, who need to read off a prompter, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I feel like I am utilizing my strengths, and in building audience territory, if I could just continually build an audience to a size and some big brand thinks I'm worthy, I will let them buy me all the cool stuff, or let them hook me up with a team that will record it and edit it for me, because I do not have the money to invest in those things. Realistically, like I said about my scenario of post-COVID, had to quickly transition to content creating, I had to just use what I had. I did not want to invest in anything because I did not have the money to do so. So just making do with what I got.
All right. So you said there was a $2.99 app you used for editing the videos. What is that?
Let's see what it's called. It is called Video Shop. Can I show? I like that's the. It's this little editor thing.
Nice.
Video Shop. It was $2.99.
Well, clearly you also have a light ring.
And I have a little light ring up here, which is a USB plug-in, super cheap one. Only because now I don't have like my own room for like a streamer room, because I have children who are in those rooms now, and I don't have, so my basement area is my video game area, my golf guitar area over there. I got the bar set up in the beer fridge, but again, just trying to make do with what I got.
The man cave.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So talked about lighting. All right. So when did you get started on YouTube? Have you been doing that from the beginning, or?
YouTube, I just started during the pandemic. At that time, I felt that was pre like really big TikTok, I guess, era, because that was 2020. Felt like it was a good platform. I never had a YouTube channel. I've usually done content specific to the app, so I did a lot of work on Twitter and would make specific Twitter content. Then on Instagram, just make specific Instagram. I actually use LinkedIn quite a bit. Don't be sleeping on LinkedIn, because you could find a lot of connections and business opportunities on LinkedIn.
I hear that. I've got to learn how to use LinkedIn, because I get nothing but spam. I get on there, and all these recruiters trying to get me to hire programmers through them, and like.
Yep, just like any social app, you have to weed out the bots and weed out people who are just trying to sell you stuff that you don't need. So you have to, there are ways to navigate it, but finding jobs like Marby find their job through LinkedIn and all of that. LinkedIn is just like any other app where if you're engaging, you very much can get some opportunities from it as well. You want to befriend. So here's my other strategy. Sorry to go off on a tangent, but that's what I do. Hey,
that's what we're here for.
Mr. Beast, I want to work with you. So you spam Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast isn't listening. You need to find who works for Night Media and his content managers and his editors and other members of his team who might, like the social media coordinator. Maybe you find their name and follow them on Twitter and become friends with them, so that when an opportunity does arise, the person who is actually making decisions and reaching out to people know you exist, because Mr. Beast does not know you exist. So LinkedIn is a great way to target those kinds of opportunities. Building your personal brand or audience, probably not what you need to use LinkedIn for. You could use TikTok or all the other ones. But if you tailor your content to each platform, I think you have a much better chance of success than not doing that.
Yeah. I like William Shatner on Twitter.
So good.
Right, but he's got right in his bio, any business inquiries, send to, and he's got the info.
Somebody else. Or
and people nearly every day send him some business idea, and he just tears into them. And you think he would ignore them, but he takes the time to tear into everyone.
You may notice that I do post some clapback videos, or I respond to people who say, McDonald's chef? You're no chef. You don't know it. that is an opportunity for me to not only use my media training, but clap back appropriately without swearing, without talking down to the individual trying to come at me, to prove my point. And sometimes it actually converts that person into a fan, because they're like, Chef Mike, you just put me in my place. Well done. And I'm like, no problem. That'll happen sometimes. You're a fan. Awesome. And then you become friends with the person. If you could convert somebody who hates you into somebody that likes you, that is a super fan for a long time. But you need to do it.
Yeah, there's something really funny on the internet where, like, when they go after you, like, they don't think you're a real person.
Mm-hmm.
And when they realize there's an actual person who's listening to them, that's enough to... It's not even your argument. It's like, there's an actual person, and he cares what I think.
Yeah.
Oh, he's okay.
And you can kind of tell there are trolls who do that on purpose to get somebody like me to respond, and they hope they get notoriety because of it. And I'm like, cool, if I get followers, if I get things from it, and you get a couple, I don't care about you. You came after me. I don't care about you and your page. I will use you. You will go on and do whatever you want, but I've just made awesome content because of you. Thank you very much.
That's really awesome. All right. That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, but still be nice. Because if you go back at them worse, you are no better. You might even be worse because you are the one who has influence. So if you get a whole bunch of people to bring up on said person, that is not at all what I try to do, and I do not recommend doing that at all.
Right. All right. Really good point.
Yeah.
Cool. So, everybody, we are live. We're going to be here for 15 more minutes with Chef Mike. So if you have questions, like this, post them. So Scream Queen 45 says, what do you think of Mr. Beast's ghost kitchens?
It is a very interesting phenomenon. So ghost kitchens are where there is not a brick and mortar restaurant you could go to get Mr. Beast stuff. Either a company has a kitchen in like a warehouse or a building where they are making your food and it's delivery only, or in the case of Mr. Beast, a lot of time, especially during the pandemic when there was a lot of, a lot less people going to restaurants, which was financial burdens on these companies. Hey, Applebee's, can we also run the Mr. Beast Ghost Kitchen out of your kitchen, which is purely delivery? Nobody will know that you kind of know, but nobody's going to come to your restaurant to order Mr. Beast burgers. It's only delivery. Now you get more revenue for your restaurant by cooking this menu. Here are the ingredients. Here's the suppliers. Here's how to make the things. You hold on to the packaging, and Uber Eats or whoever will deliver it for us. So it does make some awesome help and awesome sense. The issue is an Applebee's kitchen is not the same as some random ghost kitchen, which is not the same as some other company's kitchen, Buca de Beppo's kitchen that might be cooking stuff for it. So it is a lot harder to consistently make things like a McDonald's in a Mr. Beast ghost kitchen scenario, because training, equipment, your supply of ingredients are all probably vastly different compared to, let's say, a McDonald's setup. So you might be getting a little different stuff from this Mr. Beast Ghost Kitchen from that one, just inherently how they're set up.
That's interesting. Speaking of ghost kitchens, I was reading about how Chuck E. Cheese is using a different name. Like, you can get Chuck E. Cheese through all these delivery services, but they use a totally different name. I forgot what the name is.
Absolutely, and everybody
they have
likes
they have this Italian name they use.
There are like food incubators, especially in big cities where there are these big buildings that have multiple kitchens in it. And it's the best way a restaurant to operate is to cross-utilize ingredients. If I have chicken, I want to use chicken in as many recipes as I can. So from one kitchen, you can have 5 different brands. You could have your Asian concept, your barbecue concept, Mexican, Mediterranean, vegetarian, whatever. And gone are the days like when I was a kid, my grandparents used to take me to the Greasy Spoon, which is They serve breakfast and brunch all day and dinner after breakfast, and pages of menu, just everything you could possibly think of. When Chipotle started coming in and said, you know what, we're just going to do a limited thing, but we're going to do it very well. That very much changed the restaurant landscape, where consumers don't think one restaurant can serve 5 different types of cuisine great. So now they have to hide it from you. Same restaurant can deliver 5 different types of cuisine using the same chicken, using the same beef in all the different concepts, but you think you are ordering from some other specific restaurant, and it's all coming from the same place.
Actually, I'm so creeped out every Cheesecake Factory. That's 70 that's 70-page menu. I flipped through it and I'm like, half these items have to be below average quality, right?
In the case of Cheesecake Factory, I feel that they actually do quite a bit of stuff from scratch, where if you do that, think of how many of those 70 pages of items have tomato in it.
Yeah.
Your marinara, sliced tomato, diced tomato, tomato on burgers, tomatoes on wraps, tomatoes in salads. As long as you're bringing in the same tomato and doing the Taco Bell thing of meat, lettuce, cheese. Who's the comedian made a joke about that? Like Mexican food or Taco Bell. It's meat, cheese, lettuce, and a tortilla. Well, what about a burrito? Meat, cheese, lettuce, and a tortilla. What about a torta? Meat, cheese, lettuce, and it's utilizing the same ingredients in a different way. If you have a scratch kitchen, much easier to do. If you're bringing in fully prepared things, a little harder to do. So a McDonald's will never have a full, large monster menu, because that would just, holding so many ingredients would be incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah. So Quiet Galaxy's asking, have ghost kitchens always been a thing?
Not really since the internet, and specifically those ghost kitchens popped up more and more once Uber Eats and any of those delivery services happened. Initially, a restaurant would need to have their own delivery staff. There would be no need. You couldn't operate a ghost kitchen because it would not be financially feasible at that time. Ghost kitchens work now because they don't have a delivery service. There are 7 different delivery companies that will pick up from the ghost kitchen and deliver the food outwards. So back in the day, it really wasn't feasible until your Uber Eats and all of these companies started popping up, and you did not need to have delivery folks on staff to operate a delivery model. So that is definitely a very more recent kind of thing popping up.
Right. RBS. How do you pick recipes for your videos?
Completely randomly. Do I have, I've only got these ingredients, so I'll film a video. Now I've got leftover ingredients. What can I make with them? Specifically, my YouTube pages, you'll notice I don't provide recipes most of the time because I am making it up as I go along. The other shtick with my YouTube videos is you'll find some where the food does not turn out great. There's a rib one I did early on, and I bit into these, and it was like a doorstop. And I make one thing, and if it turns out great, awesome. If it doesn't, I tell you that this did not.
I like
turn
how
out
you admit
great.
that.
Yeah, be like, you probably need to cook it longer, or I probably did this, that, or whatever. And a lot of the content I'm making in my videos is these are not use a recipe recipes. These are, here's the fundamentals on how to make mashed potatoes. Now you just use heavy cream instead of half and half. Add a bunch of garlic and chives and sour cream. Fold in a bunch of cheese. Do your own thing. You are allowed to just add stuff, but just think about when you're doing it, why you're doing it, and it should turn out pretty darn good.
Nice. RB says the mac and cheese you made looked absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you very much. My style of mac and cheese usually, at least for me, is cook the noodles separate, cook the sauce separate, and then mix and combine. Just because you are able to control how the noodle is cooked, the thickness of the sauce a little better than like doing it all together. But there is nothing. I have plenty of recipes where you put dried noodles in a sauce and cook it, or cook the noodles, bake them in an oven with extra cheese. There's so many different ways to do it. That was just kind of one of the ways that I like showing it. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Druids has a long one about delivery services have existed for 25 years. So I guess what changed? I guess the technology.
Couple things changed. GPS. So now you can much quicker find where food is going. You know what's in your wheelhouse, how far you can deliver, things of that nature. The packaging options available, vented packaging, people, functional ingredients in breaded, fried, and coated things that will let the food taste fresher longer. Ghost kitchens, as opposed to, let's say, a traditional fancy restaurant that also you could get takeout from us. A ghost kitchen develops its recipes to be able to be delivered in a certain manner. So those are usually get to you in a better quality, fresher, how it's supposed to be compared to mom and pop restaurant that will just throw it in a foil bin or whatever and give it to you.
Yeah. In the 80s, as I recall, delivery was pizza.
Yeah,
right?
For the most part,
Right?
it was
the pizza places all had delivery people, and
And think about that.
travel and all that.
Think about this right now. What is, think about pizza, Pizza Hut, Domino's, all that. What is the biggest burger delivery company in the United States? I have no idea either, because burgers don't deliver as good as pizza. So, that is more of a modern thing. There is not a national burger delivery chain, even Mexico, like a Taco Bell. There is not
burgers
a
are tough.
right, but Taco Bell.
I've learned when I grill burgers, right, to not put it on the bun until just before I serve it, right? Even just sitting on my kitchen counter for 7 minutes is too long. Right?
Make a burger, put the hot burger in it with whatever bun you've got, with whatever lettuce, wrap it up and just let it sit for 15 minutes and then eat it. You're like, wow, this tastes like trash that I would get from some other place. Yeah, that's right. That's just we have not been able to solve thermodynamics and those kinds of issues thus yet on delivery food, but we're working on it.
Yeah. Screen Queen asks, cast iron versus non-stick. Go.
Both. You need both. I use both all the time. Non-stick is a lot easier to wash and clean and maintain. Cast iron, there are a lot of benefits of using cast iron. You can, it's a little nicer to serve in cast iron. It could go from a stovetop to a grill to a smoker to an oven, but it just takes a little more wear and tear, a little more know how to maintain cast iron appropriately, and it'll still last you generations if you do it right. But I want all the things available to me.
Nice. So we're basically at the end of our hour, but I still haven't asked you about partnerships and sponsorships. You okay to keep going for a little bit here?
Absolutely.
All right, let's keep going. So, sponsors. I think you have some sponsors. Can you tell us about them?
Absolutely. So, couple brands that we'll start at the beginning of pandemic time till now that I've worked with. So, obviously, I've done Wendy's stuff. I peddled some Sticks golf clubs for a little while. Partnership with Fresh Clean Teas, which I believe are called Fresh Clean Threads now. I've done stuff with G Fuel, done stuff with Gamer Advantage. Who else did I do stuff with? I think there were a couple others too. Sometimes they come and go. But again, it's understanding your audience. If you are looking to work with a brand to get sponsorships, as much as I've been reaching out, hey, some gaming PC company, just give me a PC and I'll totally promote your product. And they look at me and my brand and realize I've never owned a gaming PC ever. So I don't know all the, I want it so bad, I just can't afford it. But they know that my audience is not gaming PCs because I don't talk about it and I don't play them at the moment. So they're not going to give me a free, computer. CD Projekt Red knows that I was a big PlayStation guy, got the PS5 early on, promoted that. Just a couple other games like PGA Tour 2K21 I play a lot because I'm an old man and sometimes I need to relax. So they're like, it makes sense for us to send Chef Mike our game because it makes sense He's a PS5 guy. He's a fan of these kinds of games. Makes sense. Fresh Clean Tees. In that instance, I bought the shirt. I really loved it. And I said, hey, internet, look at these Fresh Clean Tees. I would love to promote this product more. And my following was like, yeah, that's awesome. They saw the numbers. A deal happens. Same thing goes with G Fuel and Gamer Advantage. The thing you need to be aware about is, I will tell you, I make a lot more money working with Wendy's than I do Gamer Advantage. I am a former McDonald's chef. The value I could bring to promoting Wendy's just because of that, I can charge so much more. I am a chef talking about food. Any food brands I work with, I charge a heck of a lot more than with Gamer Advantage. I don't have a gaming PC, so I'm not literally sitting in front of a screen needing blue light blocking glasses all the time. So when those opportunities arise, I'm not charging them nearly, I'm not getting paid nearly.
How do you figure out what you can charge?
Once you start doing it, once you start understanding what your, let's say, industry net worth is. So I started looking at, the Wendy's stuff is an outlier. When I started working with G Fuel and Styx Golf Clubs first, gave them a rate. They said, cool, rock and roll. Let's do it at this rate. I need you to post this amount of times on these social media platforms and whatever. So once you start doing that, you're like, okay, this company, I charged XYZ for these deliverables. The next person who asks me, I know I can either charge this much, and I tell them what it is. They may negotiate down or whatever. And then you as the individual have to know what you're worth. If it's a food company, I charge a lot more. If it's a company that wants me to be exclusive, like you can only represent our brand, you cannot work with these other brands. So in the case of Wendy's and things of that nature, I charge extra because now I will not get
double, triple, 10% more. What's extra? I don't
know. My scenario is so different than any, I would say like Ninja.
Of course, everyone's scenario is so different than, right?
I would compare it to like Ninja switching. Didn't he like switch from Twitch to YouTube? And so like that's a similar scenario for I promoted McDonald's. Now I'm with Wendy's. That deal is also, you're a huge audience you have on YouTube. You're not doing anything with YouTube anymore. You need to build your audience here. That's time, money, energy, resources to do that. I'm sure he makes so much money doing stuff like that. So you have to know what you can influence, what you're big at influencing on, what you're most knowledgeable with, and depending on the opportunity, you do very much have to be fluid on what you are asking. Or if you're big enough, get a team to do it for you. They will come up with rates. They will kind of understand what people are paying in the industry, things of that nature. So.
Right. Ryan is saying, reminds me when Sprint picked up the former Verizon, can you hear me guy?
Mm-hmm.
He's who I was thinking of. I know people who know him. He was on salary from Verizon for years, during which he lived in New York and just did little local theater things, waiting for the day it expired. He knew he was going. He knew he was going to Sprint long before, but he was waiting. He was on a salary. It was not.
That is the exclusivity of the things. If it's you can only play our video game exclusively, when you could get opportunities elsewhere, you need to factor that in, as well as how long the terms are. If you have a whole year, you cannot play any other game, and God of War is coming out, and you want to play God of War and talk about it, but they're saying no, charge them appropriately.
Yeah. So how do you find the spot? Like, do you call them? Do they call you? Do you? I know there are services like Stream Elements. There's a thing where you can go and like sponsors list deals.
Yeah, I mean all those. So I would say the Stream Elements stuff, and you get your hey, we'll send you product in $50. Can you post it on it? If you want to start out, you're going to want to start doing those opportunities. If you don't have a big audience, but somebody's willing to give you $50 and the product, use that as an opportunity to build your audience. get your voice, understand. For me, like I was saying, my YouTube stuff was so many content creators are doing it. I've never done it. I want to learn from the ground up how a content creator makes content, how they think, understanding algorithms, all of that stuff I was just not aware of. So instead of spending thousands of dollars on all the best stuff, I just like working in a restaurant, starting as a dishwasher, I want to start from the bottom and earn my way up and learn all those steps. So that way, when I'm super rich and famous, like the Verizon guy, could totally like, I know what I need my team to do. We can do it in this manner. Or that actually helped me transition to TikTok recently of, I made all these edited YouTube videos, adding music, getting the timing right, and all these things. Well, once I started TikTok, I was able to grow a lot faster because I've already made edited, timed, specific content targeting whatever. Now you may notice that I say, hello, humans, Chef Mike, former McDonald's chef. Here's info that will not get me in trouble, that I'm not talking negative about McDonald's. So maybe McDonald's will reach out and want me to be the McDonald's guy again. Maybe I build my brand so big as the former McDonald's chef. Wendy's is like, we want to leverage that again. So can you do TikTok stuff? Or other brands will see that like I can promote them appropriately and want to work with me. So don't just make content to just sell things. Make content to show who you are so other brands will see it. And that's how you kind of escalate and snowball up into bigger opportunities.
Nice. All right. So what's next for you? Do you have any big plans for?
So right now I am trying to get TikTok famous, which is going pretty well. I've got a couple videos. I think I got one that's 2 million view. I got a 1.2. I got all these.
Nice.
I'm understanding looping now, so I'm trying to, and it's hard for me to film in an order where I film myself usually making a thing. The thing is done. I have to, in one stream, film the end of the video and continue to talk into what I would say for the beginning of the video. Then I use my phone editor to cut it in half. The beginning part put in the front, so that way when it loops, it is a clear transition that nobody knows they're watching the video again, because that is how the algorithm works. You need people to watch the video, and if they keep watching, it weighs it stronger and might amplify it better. So that's so I'm doing little videos now of how to loop things, and it's kind of weird to logically talk in that manner. So I'm really just practicing right now until that big brand wants to reach out and do cool stuff.
Nice. All right. So the loop is super important. Any other tips for TikTok content? I see you doing reaction videos too.
Yeah, reaction. So some strategy they have out there that they talk about is just do the same thing over and over again, which is fine. My shtick is I want people to see me in a lot of different ways, see me act and talk and make different kinds of content. So I can talk professionally about analytics on social media, or I could talk about how stupid the guy is who said that, oh, McDonald's chef, well, what does that even mean? Oh, yeah? Well, here's a 7-minute video of my entire life of why you should shut your mouth. So those are two very different sides of Chef Mike that I want everybody to see, because especially on TikTok, the way brands and people are finding humans, it is, are you unique? Are you engaging? And I'm just trying to personify that I'm unique and engaging. So that will hopefully open real opportunities. I imagine I will not, if somebody wants me to work with me as a brand on TikTok, I am not going to charge them a lot right now, because there are plenty of my videos that get like no views. I'm still growing. I'm still building it up. But I will get to a point where somebody's like, you know what? You're unique enough. Do you want to be the face in our commercial because of whatever? Then I get SAG-AFTRA rates on things, and then it blows up, and I can leverage that content on social media. Then I get paid. So I'm skipping the really make the $25, $50 stuff. I'm skipping the only make $200 to $500 stuff. I'm almost setting myself up for only the bigger opportunities. But now that I have a full-time job, I can do that. So it works out.
Nice. So I know you're super busy creating stuff. You have any time to watch anything? Like, are there any creators who you're following?
So I always keep an eye. I love the folks at 100 Thieves and stuff like that. Not necessarily because I can relate to them, but I look at people who build their brand, how they do it, what kind of content they put out, how they engage in their audience. So brands like Liquid Death. All right. Have you ever heard of Liquid Death?
Yeah, water in a can.
But
they somehow make it seem cool.
Energy drink. Oh yeah, awesome. That is what everyone's Mountain Dew, Red Bull. All their advertising is over the top action. And it moves the needles and makes sales. Well, if you're a bottled water company whose mission is to remove plastic from the world and you advertise yourself that way, remember when I said you start talking about health claims and good things that your product does? So many more people will not buy your product because of that. So how about we name our cool canned water Liquid Death, and it's going to murder your thirst and it will drown you because it's so delicious, without talking about the fact that their actual mission is for good, to clean the environment and be a better company. Like, the strategy there is genius. When Steakums started getting a voice on Twitter. So I was at McDonald's and I walked over to the McDonald's social team to help them get verified. I was like, McDonald's, let's help the small guy out, help him get verified. So there was this whole Steakum verification thing that happened. Well, I helped get them verified. And then they had this tone of, we are a sentient brand who does not talk corporate jargon like everybody else.
Yeah.
Go F yourself, other people. You should be better. And they got a tone like Wendy's.
One of the first people I interviewed on this was Nate from
Nate. Yes.
Yeah.
Nate's so smart to take the beef sheet company, which who is realistically going to be like, all right, we sell beef sheets, frozen beef sheets. Okay, that's great. But give the brand a tone that is engaging. Now, the issue now is all the brands sound like that. And when you look on Twitter at brands that talk like that, especially even like a McDonald's, other brands are the ones who are talking back to them. It's really no longer just average people. So McDonald's posts, well, PlayStation responds, Xbox responds, Steakums responds, Skittles, Snickers. And now it's just brands talking to brands, which in your corporate meeting
4 years ago, I thought that was amazing when that happened.
Yes, and now people, it's not really moving the needle on sales. Like, it's engaging, and it looks good when you go into your big corporate meeting and talk about impressions and engagement, and you could spin the numbers that look at 86% of people either had positive or neutral things to say about our post. Okay, 3% of people had positive things to say, and 83% was just neutral. Buy NFTs, the Grimace coin, give me back snack wraps. Where's this? That is not negative comments. It's neutral. It causes talk, but it is not relevant to the topic you're posting about. So you also have to be weary of, I'm getting a lot of engagement, but is that actually helping me at all whatsoever? You have to judge that for yourself as well.
All right. I think at this point I'm going to say thank you. I think we're at 5:15. Chef Mike, this was awesome. I learned a lot, both about food and the sponsorship stuff.
Cool.
So thank you so much.
Anything else I could do to help in the future, just let me know.
So I think we post in the comments. We got links to his YouTube. If you're not watching him, if you haven't subscribed or followed him yet, find him on TikTok, find him on YouTube.
I think I'm awesome. Chef Mike Haracz on TikTok, and then on all the Instagrams, Twitters, all that. Just look up my name. And my last name is spelled just like it sounds, Haracz, Harris.
I love that. If you haven't liked or followed this video wherever you're watching, you should, because I'm going to be back August 16th. I'm going to have Navius the comedian and food critic. On the 18th, we're gonna have Slipstream, who makes this library of music that like T-Pain uses to build his samples. And on 25th, I'm going IRL. I'm leaving the studio in real life on the iPhone, going to Longwood Gardens, which is this it was the DuPont estate. They have turned it into an absolutely magical garden, sort of halfway between Philadelphia and Wilmington, and it is a really neat place. So we're gonna walk around and do some crazy live streaming.
We've got one of those. We got a place just like how you're like it's a huge walkable garden. There's like little art installations everywhere, like Cantigny, it's called by me, which is some rich person got a massive estate and was like, I don't know what to do with it. Let's build a golf course and a public park and a garden and all, and everyone just goes, hangs out, has a great old time. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it will be. And I'm going with You Were Found, the travel streamer.
Very cool.
He's really cool. So it'll be fun. So you guys like, subscribe, follow, whatever, and do the same for Chef Mike. And I will see you all online.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.